Embracing a practice in US without considering social, cultural considerations. Not so, because the ethnic lines still define the cultural reality.
I mentioned earlier that what happens to the children who are the products of inter-ethnic marriages. These lines you define. These are lines of the mid-1960s. When Igbo was Igbo, Yoruba was Yoruba, Hausa was Hausa. Today you have Igbo, Yoruba intermarrying. Where do you put their children? Where do you put the children who are the product of 4 grandparents, all from different ethnic groups? So if you go back to those rigid definitions of indigenship, then all those children who are the products of intermarriage of inter-ethnic marriages, you find them being disqualified left, right, and center. In any case, are we trying to encourage Nigerians to intermarry? Is that the way to assimilate everybody and to become one? Or are we encouraging them to stay apart and let only Ijo marry Ijo, Fulani marry Fulani, so that we can say that we're distinct and separate? Are we trying to build one nation? So I think it's about thinking about the future. Please don't get me wrong. We are aware of the short-term difficulties. Sometimes you have to balance 2 things. One is you define the destination you want to get to eventually. That what is the destination that brings ultimate peace and stability? Then 2, you start thinking about how do you get there. But if you define the wrong destination to begin with, and you define, for instance, that whoever came to a place in less than 100 years is a non-indigenous, that becomes a recipe for chaos and anarchy all over the country. So the point I'm making is that you are trying to come up with definitions and recommendations that encourage Nigerians to intermarry, assimilate, accept each other, and become one nation. And what we're saying also that you must not punish those people who are the product of 100% assimilation or inter-ethnic union and so on. You cannot disqualify them because they have actually gone the extra mile to accept their brethren from elsewhere in the country as being one and part and parcel of their families.
Now we're moving towards the consideration stage of the reports of the committee. How will this go in the days to come?
I think if delegates read all the reports carefully, which I believe we all intend to do, it's not just the recommendations. I've said this earlier. By the time you follow the line of reasoning, by the time you get involved in a debate, we will be able to decipher or separate those recommendations which have been very well thought through and which will help us to get to a futuristic Nigeria of our dreams. And we will be able to pick out those recommendations that are still built on the very errors of the past which held us down. And we're saying, some of us are saying that, look, we didn't come here to repeat the mistakes of the past. And some of the things we're recommending are things that perhaps if they had been done 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we wouldn't be encountering this kind of problems today.
Now, before I let you go, now going by the proceedings so far in this amendment, consideration of reports and subsequent adoption of these reports, how confident are you that this will reflect the wishes and ultimately the aspirations of Nigerians?
You see, by nature, I'm an optimist. But let me just give you some statistics that are useful. They come from the economy, but you cannot separate politics from the economy. You know, the state in the federation that has the lowest unemployment rate is Osun State. The last time I checked, 3.3%. There's a reason for that. The reason for that is that Osun State, the bulk of them are farmers. They are gainfully employed producing foodstuffs, cash crops, as well as food for local consumption. They are feeding the Lagos area, which is the largest sort of income center. So their proximity and the ability to move goods freely from their farms to Lagos enables them to be gainfully employed and to eventually take over business and displace other farm areas that are further away, who are finding it more and more difficult to transport their goods to Lagos. Now so the point I'm making is that for the same reason why Osun State, through free movement of persons, free movement of goods, of farm produce, and easy access to Lagos, is able to bring down their unemployment rate. That same principle, if we can repeat it for the places that are more distant, be it Zamfara, be it Yobe, be it Bauchi, they can produce goods, tomatoes, onions, and bring them down to Lagos. Nobody interferes with the movement. Nobody puts toll gates to bar their movement. Because right now, the reason why there's high unemployment, I'm not saying it's the only reason. Part of the reason why there's high unemployment in some locations is that the distance from those places to where the market is, which is Lagos, the dominant market, is so far that it's impossible to move goods efficiently from those places. And if you're talking about agricultural produce, if the distance is too far and there are poor roads and there are obstacles to free movement, then the people who produce those goods in those distant parts are actually forced to consume them there or sell them for much lower prices than they will get in Lagos. So the point I'm making is that we want a Nigeria where everybody can move freely, move himself, move his goods. If the best prices are in Lagos, then everybody should have a right to flood Lagos with his produce. If the best price is in Kano, everybody should have a right to move his produce to Kano. So that is the kind of Nigeria of our dreams. And so that is why I say that some of our recommendations are sort of designed to get us to a destination that we all aspire to eventually. Whether or not they are immediately practical and immediately the whole country would accept them is really secondary, because you want to define where you want to get to, and then you progressively try and get there. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. But if you begin by defining the wrong direction, that you want to hinder the movement of persons, movement of goods, then you divide the country. People get hostile, people get aggressive, because as far as they're concerned, they have been constrained. They're watching somebody else in a distant place prosper. They aren't allowed to move over there and join him in whatever he's doing. So I think the point we're making is that at the end of the day, if we are one nation, you cannot get away from free movement of persons, free movement of goods within one nation. You cannot get away from Nigerians from different ethnic groups marrying themselves. You can't get away from trying to discriminate against their children. Those are not the ways of the future.
What a week it was. For me, it was busy, running from one committee to the other, from one venue to the other. I'm really glad the delegates are returning to plenary. But it's also the most crucial part of the conference, as this is where key recommendations will be agreed on. We will be here with you next week, updating you on the major events as it unfolds at the National Conference. Till then, I'm Lanre Lasese. Bye.